Welcome back to another episode of Let's Face the Facts. I'm your host. My name is David Almeida. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida. Every week, I watch a classic episode of the amazing sitcom The Facts of Life. I do it with an actor or artist friend from the Central Florida arts community. And then we hit record, talk about the show, and have lots and lots of sidebar conversations that I hope are interesting and entertaining to you. My guest this week is Matthew Arter. He is back, as I promised, as I said was going to happen. You know, Matthew will never not be a part of this show on some regular basis. Matthew and I watched Season 3, Episode 16, entitled The Four Musketeers, and the original air date was February 10th, 1982. I think we're ready to jump on in, guys. Let's face the facts with Matthew Arter. Matthew Arter, you are back. Hello. Welcome.
Hello, David.
You're leaning into the microphone as I requested you to do, so we can hear every pearl that comes out of your mouth, every golden comment.
Oh, God. I am so glad to be back, and I am so glad that you asked me back. However, I just have a question.
Yeah?
And we got to talk about, I'm not here to bash the other guests, per se. But when I listen,
Do you have some notes?
I have notes.
Okay. You did text me at one point. You texted me, oh, for good Lord fucking sake. And I was like, what? And you texted me,
oh, God.
How did you not make a comment that Miko and Joe had to be fucking?
Oh, my God, for Christ's sake.
That really didn't go there. I wasn't thinking.
Miko was all up. Joe was into some wontons
that
weekend.
No, stop.
Joe was pulling a fortune out of a fortune cookie.
No, you are
I just offended two Asian races in one joke.
The opinions of Matthew Arter do not reflect the opinions of the Let's Face the Facts podcast or any of its corporate affiliates.
That's true. But my other note is...
What's your other note? Please continue.
When you tell people that to make the TV guide thing...
The elevator pitch.
And Tim Williams, I will give him this note. It was like 10 minutes long, Tim. You didn't ask for a TV guide full-page ad. You asked for, like, the regular TV guide.
But he did say at the end, that was way more than 2 sentences.
Yes, it
He did
was.
At least, he caught himself. But... so the
people act like they're describing a mystery novel when they do it. Like, Natalie comes home to find someone in her bed. But who is it? Mrs. Garrett. No, fuck off. It's 2 sentences.
Okay. God. Please don't tell all my previous guests to fuck off.
Not you. Not the guest. Well, maybe. I'm just implying, like, if you're not a fan of the show... I just feel like there's some time. I don't know.
Yeah, you've said before that you'd like me to refrain from people who are not familiar with it. You want to hear.
Right.
You would like it to lean more towards super fans and people who obsess.
All 6 of us.
You, me, Paul Padilla.
That's it. That's all you need. It could be just the 3 of us sitting around talking about
it. There will be a time.
Except if Paul Padilla were here, you'd actually have to put effort into craft services.
Oh. And there it is.
Anyways.
Ladies and gentlemen, I served Matthew dinner tonight. I had a hot meal waiting for him. I was June goddamn Cleaver. Mm-hmm. Matthew, what did I serve you tonight when you got home?
Toast.
That was the thing at the top of the menu.
Toast. A glass of water. Like I'm Jerry Epstein before the incident. Like I'm in prison. Here's some toast and water. Have a seat. Let's watch this show.
What was with the toast, though?
And I believe something you were passing off that I can tell my taste buds told me was what was that?
Sizzling?
Sizzling.
It was not sizzling. Mm-hmm. It was low sodium.
Oh, okay.
It was low sodium bacon. Because I care about your health, Matthew.
Okay. So you're going to kill me with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. The low sodium bacon.
So.
And I made us some scrambled eggs. We had a lovely breakfast for dinner.
Yeah, it's the first time I've been served a breakfast like that without getting a little something beforehand. Like, you know.
Do all of your paramours feed you a gourmet breakfast
Well, when
after?
somebody's like, hey, how about breakfast for dinner? I think pancakes and waffles, David. I don't know about you. I think biscuits and gravy.
Okay.
Look at me. Do I look like I'm unfamiliar with the Bob Evans menu?
Okay, we'll put that under the
I came
umbrella.
of age when Shoney's breakfast buffet was like the place to go on a Sunday morning.
God, I love Shoney's. But okay, we'll add that to the Matthew's notes.
French toast. Whatever.
I do a killer French toast bake. Maybe
I'll never know. Maybe Paul Padilla could enjoy some. You get him a Belgian waffles, maybe some crepes. Fresh fruit from the farmer's market.
Oh, I'm gonna blow out my voice before I even talk here.
Anyway, so we watched this show.
Yeah, the Four Musketeers. It's semi-appropriate because it's almost like a reinforcement of the pilot.
And here's the TV Guide thing. The girls have paid off their debt. Will they stay or will they go? Find out at 9 p.m. on Wednesday with the Facts of Life. That's how it's done.
Boom. Do not drop that mic.
I won't.
Whatever you do.
I won't.
He was reaching for it he was going to drop it.
It was in
Do
my
not.
hand. Sorry.
Thank you for the TV Guide entry.
You're welcome.
And future guests,
Take note.
you have something to live up to now. And so we watch this since, Matthew, you are my always at the beginning of the season guest.
And favorite guest.
Okay, we'll go with that, yeah.
Okay.
And so this was like when it was coming around, I was like, oh, this would be a good one to have you for, because what you have just said is that the debt is up. So how are we going to continue the show in the format it is? That has been working very well for technically a season and a half, though the first season was a short season. So, are you ready to get to it?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Let's do it to it.
Any other complaints about my show, my guests, me, or my cooking?
Or your cocaine?
Cooking!
Oh, or Michael Caine?
Michael?
Is Michael Caine coming on the show?
He was one of the husbands they
Have you seen
auditioned.
Michael Caine?
Edna, you want to go back into the fucking Peace Corps with me?
It's like I'm in the room with Michael Caine.
Where are the big glasses? I need the big, thick Alfie glasses. Well, let us begin at the beginning of this episode entitled The Four Musketeers, which was season 3, episode 16. Oh, by the way, this episode, a lot of clips that we have been watching in the opening theme. Finally, we see the context of where the fuck these clips are coming from.
Yes.
Well, we begin the show with the shot of the girls all in the bathroom sharing the mirror, everybody getting ready in the morning. This is the first, last, and only time we have ever seen their bathroom, correct?
Yeah.
And wow.
Yeah.
We got Natalie applying face moisturizer. We've got Joe gargling. We've got Blair taking the rollers out of her hair.
And blow drying.
And they're all looking to the camera, but the camera is the mirror. So it's a theatrical, but it works.
I wrote down that's where sitcom meets theater. And I guess maybe the direction of this ruined it a little because you could see the front of the sink.
Yeah.
Like there was no wall there. Like there was a sink in the middle of the room.
Yeah, and there were shelves sticking out where you could see stuff. So it's like,
I don't know.
Is it just that we cut away a wall? Is that what the conceit was? Yeah.
It was weird, but I feel like if you cut away the wall, you wouldn't film below the sink. Anyways, we're
in the bathroom.
Literally 2 seconds into this episode.
So as Blair starts to blow dry her hair, which is blowing all the air in Joe's face, Joe says, "Hey, Farrah, knock it off," calls her Farrah. And then Blair comes back, and Blair, she and Blair have an interchange. The girls are just bitching at each other the whole fucking episode.
And Blair's already wearing her earrings.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Do women sleep in their earrings?
Some do.
Like little studs, like they're little post earrings. So
I imagine it would hurt if you don't. I don't know that. I've never been a woman.
Okay, and I wear clip-ons.
And you, as drag queens, we wear clip-ons, exactly. So then Mrs. Garrett, knock, 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 comes in. She has on a shower cap the size of Rhode Island.
I felt Mrs. Garrett was very vaudevillian this whole episode.
Yeah, oh my God.
Like there were several overreactions, facial expressions, asides, and things.
My God.
But yeah, it's like, it's literally like cliche.
Yeah.
How that fucking shower hat is.
The shower cap was so big and bright colored. She had a towel over her shoulder.
She might as well have had a rubber ducky in her
Yeah,
hand.
I was just going to say.
We get it. You're going to take a shower.
It was clown-like. It was like, rubber ducky or a rubber chicken. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, it was a very blurry line there. But there was something just, it almost said, you're about to see a very broad performance. Ladies and gentlemen, more than usual. Well, Mrs. Garrett says, like, knock, knock, any chance I can get into the shower today? Mm-hmm. And so it's like, okay, so all 5 of them are sharing one bathroom. Not unheard of. You hear people with families, big families, small houses. But any chance I can get into the shower today? So it's like, so do you go days where you don't bathe?
Yeah,
Because
of course they did back then.
the girls,
Everybody looks dirty. Everybody looked dirty in the 70s.
I guess.
Like when you watch like the musicals like Camelot and shit, like and Mame, everybody looks like they could use a shower. Like, you know what I mean? Like they look like that hair needs to be washed.
Yeah.
A little bit.
all the Sidney Lumet films, like, you know, Serpico and Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah,
and stuff.
everybody looks like they could stand up. Shower 70s, a little bit.
Yeah, 70s, everything was that gritty aesthetic that was very 70s. Everybody did need a taxi driver. It's he needed a shower.
Even the Brady Bunch. I always felt like Greg Brady could stand to like shower a little bit.
Cream rinse.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Now, my question was, when I was looking at that one bathroom and everything, it makes me again wonder, like, as far as, like, what is this building?
Yeah,
like,
thank
does
you.
it have like a 1-bedroom apartment in the back? So it would make sense that it's a 1-bathroom. Like, is it like the maid's quarters kind of situation? Like, I don't understand what that building is.
Yeah.
Like, why a cafeteria has an apartment attached to it?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's not something where you would expect they would build it and say, oh, and of course, when one builds a cafeteria.
Yeah, we need an apartment.
You need living quarters for the live-in nutritionist.
Might need to hire Ida Frank family.
Because it's... But, you know, you're totally right. And the ongoing mystery of where do people stay when they stay. Because we know the girls are in what was essentially a garage that never had a car in it with all the shit. And they do have a little memory to that later, which I thought was interesting. But before Mrs. Garrett has come in, the water has stopped. Oh, no. Something's gone wrong. We don't have any water. So when Mrs. Garrett wants to take a shower, they're like, yeah, you want to take a dry shower? And it's like, oh, no, not again. That water problem, again, that we've never, ever heard of them having.
Right.
And then they say,
oh, spoiler alert, there was no water actually coming out when Jo was brushing her teeth.
Oh, yeah.
So
no, it was
earlier
not
in the scene.
Working sink. No. Yeah. And she spit out mouthwash into it.
Yeah.
There is a crew person who will have a bucket that they remove from under that prop sink that has Nancy McKeon's spit. Hopefully they put it in a bottle and it's for sale on eBay. I do have to look for that.
Like an ABBA turd.
So in addition to the water being out, it's like, oh, great, the water's out. Just when we've been having trouble with the heating and the cooling system. And then we get the vaudevillian writers. Yeah, our room was like a sauna last night. And Jo says, yeah, the tongues were hanging out of my shoes. Oi!
Oh!
There it is. So Mrs. Garrett says, oh, I guess I'll have to get so-and-so to come and fix it again. And
Mr. Zimmer.
Mr. Zimmer?
Yep.
So Hans Zimmer, before he wrote the score to The Lion King and many other films, was originally the handyman in Peekskill, New York.
Well, it makes sense if the handyman was also a gifted writer, musical person, and probably taught music as well. Like Mrs. Garrett has
Mrs. Garrett, the jack of all trades. Yeah.
So the handyman, true. The one thing she can't do.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, bitch, you can fly a plane, but you can't adjust a thermostat.
No idea.
Really?
Lost on her.
So then we're in the parlor. They do an interesting little joke, quick cut, where they say, ugh, they really need to do something about the heat. Cut to Tootie and Natalie under a blanket in the parlor, freezing to death. So, there's a problem happening in the other direction.
Right.
Wacky. So the girls are in the parlor and they're cold, and Blair and Joe start bitching at each other and start being complete and total jerks to each other.
And this is where the lesbian undertones kind of begin for this episode.
I'm not sure I'm ever aware of lesbian.
Well, it's like you're watching two lesbians have their first fight.
Oh, is it?
You know what I mean? But it's not their first, but like they're at each other again. Those two carpet munchers. And I wrote them down, so I will point them out as we get to them. But
okay, so we start with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this stems from Blair breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all huddle on the couch under the blanket, and Blair does one of her Blair. And Joe's, do you have to do that? Yeah. Do what? Breathe. It's how I live. That's what I'm talking about. So, they're just awful to each other. And they're a reference of the time, reference of the era. Blair says to Joe, John McEnroe could teach you lessons in etiquette. So now Blair and Joe are complaining to Mrs. Garrett. And once again, I've missed something very important. Earlier in the bathroom, Mrs. Garrett says, girls, we have something very special to celebrate for dinner tonight. So while they're bitching and the insults keep escalating to, I can't live with her any longer. I can't put up with this more. How long do we have to do this? Yeah. And Joe says, how long do I have to pay for one mistake? And Mrs. Garrett says, not very long. And then finally, Mrs. Garrett breaks down. And what does she say, Matthew?
Rats. I don't know.
When she pulls the thing out of her sleeve.
Now, I'm confused, and you may have to cut this out, because are we now after the scene where the girls are insulting each other? Because that's where all the lesbian references are.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to get ahead of us. Tell me.
Jeez.
Okay, go for the.
Slow down, please.
Okay, go for the.
You're barreling through this pivotal episode.
This podcast is going to be over in only 90 minutes, David. So
missing several.
Slow your goddamn roll. Okay,
First of all, Blair says that
I forget that you need to do all the lesbian tallying.
I'm just pointing out a fact of life.
A bit of fact.
And she says when they're insulting each other in the pantry, Joe complains about her doing her hair in the morning.
Yeah. By the way, in that scene, Blair's hair looked really not much different than it did in the bathroom when she had just pulled the rollers out. It's like they forgot to brush through it.
Yeah.
You could still see the line where the roller was and the curl that hadn't been, and it was like, what the shit?
Yeah.
That was so weird.
Yeah. Like they had a fucking schedule to keep. Blair.
Yeah. It's like, we got to keep moving here.
You remind me to ask my close personal friend Lisa Whelchel if she remembers that that episode.
Yeah, your close personal friend Lisa Whelchel?
Yeah, she liked a comment that I commented on her Instagram and she liked it.
Wait a minute.
We're close personal friends.
You liked
Lisa Whelchel.
You commented on Lisa Whelchel's Instagram.
Yes, and she liked the comment.
And she liked your comment. So, therefore,
we only do that when a friend comments.
Yeah,
you know, not when a fan.
You got to be fucking close. To like a comment.
See? Thank you. That's what I was saying.
Okay, sure.
Wow. But Joe's complaining about her hair, and she says, "I've had her hair up to my ears." Joe says that about Blair. Joe says about Blair, I've had a hair up to my ears.
Okay, all right.
Lickety split. And then there's a reference about a lube job.
Oh, that's right.
A lube job on primetime TV in 1982.
Well, she was talking about cars and...
Was she?
What is the line? Do you remember it?
Something about a lube job.
Talking about the breathing.
Her breathing.
Yeah, Joe says, if you were my bike, I'd give you a lube job.
Yes. Lickety split. And then in that sentence, not only does Joe out herself twice about saying hair up to my ears and lube job.
Yeah.
Tootie gets in on it. And when she goes, you tell her, Tootie.
Tootie leses out?
And no, Tootie says, you stay out of this, Mr. Goodwrench.
Oh, yeah.
Makes the choice. Because I'm thinking, like, with those vaudevillian writers, I'm surprised they didn't play on it and say Mrs. Goodwrench. Because she's a woman, you know. And they kind of play on it that way. No, she made a very distinct choice to call her Mr. Goodwrench.
Yeah.
So
Blair
Joe is the top.
Yeah.
Especially with Blair and Miko.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm so glad to have you back, Matthew, because I miss so much of the lesbianism.
Thank you.
I'm glad you have a good lesbiometer.
Thank you.
Better than mine.
Yeah. Well, I dated one for 3 years in high school. A lovely permed mullet. I saw her across the softball field, and I thought, yep, that'll do. Go ahead. Sorry.
Because when you need a beard, and she has a beard.
Right.
But so then Mrs. Garrett, we build up to Mrs. Garrett just being like, oh, rats. And she has to blow her wad here.
Oh.
She has to blow her cover.
Okay.
And give up the secret. She pulls out of her wrist like a woman in her early 90s. She pulls out a folded up piece of paper she has tucked inside the wrist of her long sleeve blouse or her cardigan, and says, "This is the bill for the school van that you stole back in season 2, episode 1. And you will notice it is marked paid in full."
Yeah.
And the girls are like, whoa, wait, but what? Are you saying that our debt is paid off and we don't have to work in the cafeteria and live here? We can move back into the dorms and be excited. Like the other girls? And Mrs. Garrett is kind of like, yeah, you could if you wanted to. And Blair and Joe are like, fuck yeah. We're out of here.
Yeah.
Fuck this bitch.
And this escalated quickly.
Very.
Joe said, I no longer have to listen to you breathe.
Yeah.
And Blair went, I don't have to look at your ugly face. Wow, Blair.
Standing right here.
Wow.
I can hear you.
That escalated very quickly.
Yes, very true.
Now, it was when Edna said rats, because I feel like if I'm close personal friends with Lisa Whelchel, I can probably call her Edna.
Okay, go for it.
Edna,
or
when she
Eddie,
said
like
rats,
Mr. Melbourne did the other week, calling her Eddie, the boyfriend that she's been dating for 15 years that we've never ever heard of or seen before. Yeah,
I didn't see it as a boyfriend as much as she was like openly admitting, this is my booty call. Mr. Melbourne. She's like, this guy comes and rocks my world.
Yeah.
Whenever he's in town, he's a traveling salesman. Yakety yakety.
Waka waka. Yeah.
And he makes a delivery once every 2 or 3 months. But he comes and sells me a funkin' Wagnall. I have 18 sets of encyclopedias. This is when I realized that Edna is we've talked about her vaudevillian acting. But it's when, like we've joked it before, I'll never be severe enough.
Yeah. She's a wonderful comedian.
And I'm going to challenge people who watch this show and who watch Schitt's Creek, from now on, every time Mrs. Garrett has a line, I want you to think how Moira Rose would say it.
Oh my God.
Because it's like she's putting the emphasis on the wrong word in the sentences, but Moira Rose knows she's doing it.
Yeah, it's intense. Like, that's Catherine O'Hara and the genius.
Because I was listening to that and she says, you'll notice it's says paid in full. And it just, I heard Moira Rose go, you'll notice says paid in full. Yeah. Like, always a pullback before the delivery.
In full. Yes.
I don't think you noticed it, but it says paid in full.
Yes, you're so right.
So I'm going to challenge myself and our listeners to kind of run a Moira Rose line reading for every Mrs. Garrett line reading.
Schitt's Creek is ending.
I know.
What it would have been lovely for the next season.
It's 6 seasons.
But if they had kept going, we could have pitched to them, how about Moira gets back into acting and they reboot The Facts of Life and cast Moira as Mrs. Garrett.
And you want fours of middle-aged gay men to have a little boygasm.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yumi and Paul and
Yeah. And that's it.
Yep,
Matter
right
of
there. So, as the girls quickly escalate to this, Mrs. Garrett kind of gives a, now girls, wait, we've sort of become a family, and family is hard to come by. And Blair and Joe are just like, fuck this shit, we're out of here.
Yeah.
We are out of here. So then we cut to the parlor. And we are already making some plans. Blair is already talking about rooming assignments and saying, well, if we can get this girl to switch to here and this there, I can end up with a private room. And they're all, she and Joe are like in full, we are getting the fuck out of Dodge mode. Yeah. Natalie, in a lovely little moment, while they're sitting down, Blair and Joe are sitting on the couch, and Natalie walks around and sits between them to kind of play mediator. And Natalie goes, girls, girls, girls.
I did notice
Very funny. I'm like, you rock. I love you, Mindy Cohn, so much. So in the course of Natalie trying to play diplomat, she says, you can work out your differences just because there are things that annoy you, just like there are things that Tootie does that annoy me. And if I didn't, and the theme of this is compromise. Girls, you need to compromise. You can't just let shit get to you. You have to work through your differences. And so basically Natalie says, there's stuff Tootie does where if I didn't let it slide, we would have broken up long ago. You're nodding your head.
Broken up.
Yeah. I assume that was one of the lesbianic references that you...
We need like a lesbian sound effect, like a diesel truck horn honking. For every time. Because back in the day, we used to call them diesels.
They still do. I think they still do.
But
yeah, that was an interesting thing. Not we would have stopped being friends long ago.
No.
We would have really been over each other. Nope.
Gives new meaning to a black girl and a Jew walk into a bar.
Oh.
I mean, come on. Really? You think Mrs. Green would really enjoy hearing about this?
Oh, Jesus. So, Mrs. Garrett comes in as this argument now between Tootie and Natalie with, well, you put your books on my bed. And Tootie's like, no, I don't. Natalie's like, yes, you do. And Natalie even comes back with, hey, no, it's fine. You're a kid. You don't know any better. Shadows of Tootie not being treated as an equal, not being treated as an adult. And then Blair and Joe get into it, and that's where Tootie, in lashing back at Natalie, throws in the Mr. Goodwrench line to Joe.
Yes. Okay, yeah, there it is.
Mrs. Garrett comes in and is trying to suddenly play diplomat here and play referee to all of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And somehow the talking back and forth happens where Natalie says, bull. Like Tootie says something like that, and Natalie's response is bull. And Mrs. Garrett's like, Natalie!
Horse feathers.
Poppycock. But she says bull, and Mrs. Garrett's like, duh. And the thing is, she said bull, definitively bull. It's not like she was going to go bull.
Right.
But they did it. And then Tootie comes back with double bull. What?
And then the brilliant Mindy Cohn's reaction to that, like pointing.
The pointing at,
point.
She just said double. And that's in the opening theme, and we love that every single week.
She's delightful.
I love that, yes. So then we get back to compromising. Girls, we've got to that. You mean you're not even willing to try?
Yes.
Was that particularly inaccurate?
No,
the pitch was a little high. It was a pitchy dog.
That is Charlotte Ray's reading.
Yeah.
Now, if Moira Rose was saying it, what is the line?
But
you tell me you're not even willing to try.
It says, you tell me that you girls are not even willing to try.
You tell me you girls are not even willing to try. Not even willing to try.
Not even willing to try. Yeah, you could. There are so many equivalently awful readings
Love Catherine O'Hara so fucking much.
Oh God, I worship.
I want to be Moira Rose
when I grow up.
I have to box my wigs. Oh my goodness, no one's trained.
So basically, then we have this little. Mr. Asaad Kelada. He got all Martin Scorsese and said, I'm going to be like that guy Tarantino who hasn't come along yet. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put a directorial thing in here where we start in the bottom right corner with Blair on the couch. Mm-hmm. And it's, he starts with Blair. We're moving out. Pan over to Joe. The sooner the better. Mm-hmm.
Diagonal.
And then upward to Natalie. Yeah. Yep, me too. And then pan back over to Tootie, who was above Blair, and she says, "Yeah, I know that's fucking right," or something. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. But yes, we do this little panning across. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Very single camera.
Yeah. And then we cut to the wide shot, and we get the clap track. Yeah. We are officially at the, oh my God, this is the end of the family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad. I'm feeling like, oh, how are we going to get them back together?
I'm afraid the show is never going to be on TV after tonight anymore.
At this commercial break.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Is this the end as we know it? Because I don't feel fine.
Anyway, so we come back to the cafeteria where Mrs. Garrett is laying out a couple of, like, putting out a napkin or two while the girls are all coming in for breakfast. So Mrs. Garrett is apparently alone.
Yeah.
Doing the work for 5
now
people.
She's doing the work for suddenly 5 people.
Or 6 if you count Howard, who I guess she killed and is in the freezer or something.
Or maybe Mr. Melbourne killed him.
Oh. That's right, because she was kind of Tiger Woods in that shit, wasn't she?
She's paying him off with some BJs.
Oh, no. But the deal is, she's there, and it's... in comes, who's the first one in? Joe. Joe is there. Hey, Mrs. Garrett, how you doing? She's like, oh, it's been a little hectic. Without you girls helping, it's also been a little quiet. And so Joe is just like, yeah, well, I'm in the dorms now and I'm happy. Bye.
But this is also where she asked about Joe's new roommate.
And what does she say?
And she tells her she knitted her a cover for her motorcycle helmet.
That's right.
And this is where I come up with the conspiracy theory.
Oh, please do.
That Iola Boylan from Mama's Family went to Eastland High School. Because she was always making, like, look, Thelma, I made you toaster cozy. Look, I made you
was that an Iola thing?
Yeah.
I was not a Mama's Family fan.
Well, maybe I should talk to Michael Colavolpe about that.
I think you should. He would totally be into that. Wow.
He would.
Yeah. Now, how did you know Michael Colavolpe is a Mama's Family fan if you don't listen to the show?
Oh, I'm a dear friend of Michael Colavolpe.
You and Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Matt and Michael, people talk about you as a pair all the time.
They do. You can't mention one without the other, hardly. Like frick and frack.
Then in comes Blair. What is Blair wearing, Matthew?
The Blair blue blazer.
Yes, Blair is wearing the blue blazer. And we get the report of Blair and her new living situation.
And Blair actually picks up some Parmesan cheese.
Some cheese shavers. Yes.
And helps Mrs. Garrett.
And it's done kind of absently. Like, there's no attention drawn to it.
Yeah.
She's just babbling about how much she loves living alone and all that. And as she's following Mrs. Garrett from the counter to the table, Blair just grabs 2 of the cheese things and puts them in. And I was like, that was lovely. I wish there had been more of that in this episode.
I was thinking, who wants Parmesan cheese at breakfast? But okay, yeah, sure. Okay, well, character-driven.
Mrs. Garrett is doing the work for 6 people, so they're having spaghetti. Fuck them.
Girls, come get your pasta.
So then she says, oh, I've just been talking to Joe. And Joe is very happy about her new living situation. And Blair, kind of clearly putting on a face, is like, oh, Joe's happy? How nice.
There's the diesel engine coming through again because Blair's jealous.
We have to look at Google a diesel engine sound effect. Diesel horn sound effect. That's what we need.
It's just too long enough.
It's just exactly.
Oh, is she?
Do it one more time. Ask the question, Matthew.
Blair is all kinds of jealous of Joe's new roommate. How did you get that Cuna?
I have no idea.
Blair's new girlfriend isn't working out so well. But
Yeah.
apparently Joe's is.
Yeah. Well, no, Blair's alone. Remember, Blair did
right.
finagle a single for herself.
That's right.
And so we have that. Oh, where does Mrs. Garrett do her horrible French accent routine?
Because this is where Blair says, "Oh yeah, that would." Mrs. Garrett says, "That would take compromise." And well, I know when I have my friends,
All of my friends.
we have to compromise. We're at each other's throats, David.
We fight. We disagree. But it's worth the trouble.
It's worth the trouble, David. It's worth the trouble.
But that is what she says. We don't mean to take focus of our Moira
But
Rose.
who are these friends that Edna's talking about?
We just met her booty call last week that she's had for 15 years that we've never seen before in 3 goddamn
And I'm trying
years.
to remember of all the episodes when she actually has a fucking friend over.
No, she doesn't.
I didn't think so.
The last 2 friends she had were Molly Pecan, Natalie's grandmother,
Yeah.
and Zsa Zsa Gabor. That was like the last time she sat down with an adult
With a contemporary.
and had a conversation. Oh my God. It's so wrong. So is her, I did not note when the French happened. It just suddenly, I remembered these were some bad Mrs. Garrett moments.
Yeah, she's trying to be funny to her. She's telling Mrs. Garrett how funny her roommate is.
Who is?
Because Natalie walks in with her new roommate who's boring as paint.
Yeah.
And
We meet this new roommate, and her name is Brenda. Brenda will be back for a couple more episodes next
Really?
year. Yes. Yeah, agreed. I'm like, really?
she impressed the casting director so much.
Yeah. Wow. It's like, well, we finally ran off Sue Ann and Cindy and Molly and all that shit. So we meet this new roommate, Brenda, and Mrs. Garrett says, "Oh, hello, Brenda. How are you?"
Hello, Brenda. How are you? And Brenda says, what'd she say?
Adequate. Dull as a doornail.
Yeah. And like, Natalie's trying to show her how hilarious Mrs. Garrett is, and they make a joke about French bread or something like that, and I didn't get it.
And Mrs. Garrett is doing this other. And you cut to this girl Brenda and stone-faced.
Yeah, she just wants an avocado. It's fine.
Not since the little red-headed boy on The Ropers have we seen an actor so beautifully maintain their stone face, their poker face. Her adequate performance. Then Tootie comes in. Mm-hmm. And what is Tootie's living situation? It's like, this is where the show just gets laborious.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, now we have to, one at a time, bring them in and establish where they are and what's going on. And you know what? I don't think we even know about Tootie's thing, because it's just Tootie runs into Natalie and it's like, let's do Moira. I'm surprised to find you here.
Yeah, what are you doing here? Well, it's fucking cafeteria in the
eat
morning.
here.
What of all places for you to expect me to be? This would be it.
And she says, I haven't seen you around here much. And at one point she even says, well, I wouldn't have come if I'd known you were going to be here. And it's like, bitches.
Yeah, I didn't get. I didn't.
No, not working. Really, this is now completely manufactured animosity. At this point, they would be like, oh, hey, hi, good to see you. I mean, there's no reason to not be pleasant to each other.
It's very sitcom-y.
Yeah.
It's very sitcom.
Yeah. I'm mad at you, and I'm going to stay empirically and escalatedly mad at you for the rest of this show. So, they get into some bitching. Natalie and Tootie start like a scream fest and make a goddamn scene.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Garrett intervenes.
Thing, though.
What?
Like, calls her a geek.
I know. Like that was the worst thing you could call a person.
Don't you call me a geek?
How dare you? Yeah. So Mrs. Garrett suddenly is like, stop!
No, she isn't. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay.
And she just suddenly goes, girls. I'm not going to do the voice because it's exhausting. Yeah. Doing such an authentic and unmistakable Charlotte Rae. It takes a lot out of me.
And it gets to the point where it's like dance for grandma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True. So. Yeah. It's what they're expecting.
Yep.
I'm trying to change the expectation here. Mrs. Garrett says, girls, there are some new girls coming in here who are going to help me in the kitchen since I'm doing the work of 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
New girls going to come in here and move in over the cafeteria. Why, I don't know. Maybe they're girls from the local prison.
Maybe they wrecked a van as well.
Yeah. well, actually, we're in upstate New York, so Litchfield, we could do an Orange is the New Black crossover.
All right.
Truly. But basically, she says, so I need you to clean out that room and sweep it and empty it out and paint it. And the girls do say, they're like, what? And someone even says, new girls? In our room?
Yeah.
When they had just been all, fuck this shit, I hated this place. I'm glad. Suck it, cafeteria room. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. So that's what they have to do. And she says, wear your old clothes. Punchline of the scene, Blair, I don't have any old clothes. No, you don't, Blair.
I'll buy some.
Yep. So then we're up in the room. Everything is missing, and there are drop cloths everywhere. Yeah. Please make note of that, everyone listening. Mm-hmm. There are drop cloths everywhere, including on the floor. Am I speaking out of turn?
And the room has been cleared out. Where did the stuff go?
Well, I mean, they moved out. They moved out their dorms.
But the mattresses are up against the wall? Is that what those are?
Yeah, that's the mattresses against the wall. So the girls are preparing to paint. Because when you want a paint job done and done right, you want a group of inexperienced teenage girls. Yep. And the scene begins with Tootie pulling up a sock that looks like an oil rag. Yeah. And she picked up and said, does anybody want this? And they're all like, no, pass.
But Joe was kind of like, who does it belong to? Before she said no. Because I think she probably took it to her new place and would want to sniff it and rub it places.
Oh, stop.
I'm just saying. Like, if it was Blair's sock, she wanted it. Joe was like, no, I don't want it. And then pocket the thing. You know what I mean?
I would say it was the rag from Michael Colavolpe's episode, the one that she was using to clean that random engine part.
Oh, yeah.
But like we said, the engine part was not dirty or getting cleaner, and the rag was clean and not getting any dirtier.
True enough.
So, don't know where that's coming from. Anyway, Natalie says, you and I both raised our eyebrows. And she says, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm missing my rock hunt. And the girls even say, and she says, and even the girls go, you're what? Mm-hmm. And then she reiterates, my rock hunt. And you're like, you realize she says, Brenda goes hunting. Brenda and I go out whatever day of the week this is, and we go out looking for rocks, and you realize, she's saying rock hunt. Two words, don't want to run them together.
It's like when Tootie would hide Joe's bike, and she would have to go on a bike hunt.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Or when they would hide Blair's microphone and she'd have to go on a my cunt.
Yeah. Thank you.
I am 12.
We are.
I am 12.
I was just going to say that. We are fucking children.
So enough about Natalie's rock hunt. And I hate that word.
You hate the C word?
No, hunt. What C word are you talking about? Cancer? Yeah, I'm not a fan. Cancer. What? I don't like to hunt for anything. Like my remote, my keys.
So thankfully, there's someone else says something along there like, oh, I can't believe we've got to get this room prepared for new girls. And Joe, which you wish she or somebody had said in the previous scene, she said, well, yeah, what did you think Mrs. Garrett was going to do? Seal it off like King Tut's tomb? And you're like, but she's right. It's kind of like someone else is staying in our room. And it's like, all you've been doing is talking about how happy you are that you don't have to fucking live there anymore. That is not an authentic moment. I do not believe the emotion of it. So the painting begins.
Yes.
In spite of Natalie's rock hunt. That will never get old. That will never, ever fucking get. It's like, just like be smart writers. Come on, don't give us that type of an opening. Really,
and I have to wonder if when she said it, when she first read it at the table read, she was like, "You're gonna have me say rock hunt," and they all laughed. I want to know, and they were like, "I'm keeping it in. I'm gonna sneak that past the censors."
Yep, exactly. So while they're painting, they reminisce about remember the first night we were here and there was no beds and we had to sleep in sleeping bags. And it's like, yeah, we remember because we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
This Garrett just dumped their asses in this storage room garage. But yeah, maybe we should reminisce. Matthew, remember that time we were watching the show and podcasting about the time that Mrs. Garrett made them?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, so do
But
I.
I mean, you grow up, you get older,
exactly.
you die. No big deal.
Exactly. Moving on. Let's paint this and get the fuck over this, because I definitely don't have any feelings of fondness for this experience that I'd ever want to continue.
I'm from the Bronx.
Yeah. So then Natalie points out a growth chart along near the door next to the light switch. Plate still on the light switch. You remove the plates before you paint, girls.
Yeah.
Just saying. And she has a growth chart. And if you look at the actual height, you're like, I don't think Kim Fields was ever that tiny.
Right.
It was, and she says, look at this. Remember last year when we thought you weren't going to grow, and then here you grew? She said something like almost 2 inches.
Yeah.
And the marks are clearly like 6.
Yeah.
It's like, that's more than 2 inches, honey.
It's like a gay man measuring his penis. Did those. It's like, no, it's like 8 inches.
And where'd you start measuring? Your asshole?
You go from the b-hole to the p-hole. That's where I measure. I don't know about you. But I digress.
Moving on.
And I certainly don't mark it on the wall.
No. You do other markings on the wall.
Right. My bedroom wall looks like a Jackson Pollock painting.
But thank you. So then we begin. You know, when they say the Three Stooges were the masters of the pies, I think it is safe to say that the Facts of Life girls are the masters of the paint. And we get into now a physical comedy bit. And honestly, they do well with it.
Sure.
Do you not agree? I'm not saying it in and of itself is good. I'm saying they sell it and they make it seem as plausible as they can.
I have to say, my close personal friend Lisa Whelchel, the choices she made when she sat down in the paint. Because that's how it all starts.
She stands up from sitting in a chair. Yeah. Joe just completely innocently puts down a tray of paint. Yeah. And then Blair sits in it. And her reaction is quite beautiful.
Wonderful. Understated.
Yeah.
Because there are so many places she could have gone.
Yeah.
I mean, if Mrs. Garrett had sat in that.
Yeah.
So the understated reaction was just lovely.
It was beautiful.
And
Joe was like,
probably message that to her.
You should message her that, yeah.
And I kind of realized we can thank that action of her innocently setting the paint on the chair for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
Because if that hadn't happened...
Nope. If that had not happened...
we would have never started the paint fight.
The paint fight. Like you do. So, yeah. Joe
Which
says...
I have to wonder is like a straight man's idea of heaven, watching these girls paint each other. Somebody watched that scene and was like, yep, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
And went to sleep.
It's a shame they can't whip their tits out, but, it's network tele... Oh, wow. You okay?
That got dark.
But you know what I mean? There is this...
No, I don't.
Well, the sense
Explain yourself.
The Playboy bunny pillow fight kind of a thing. Oh, okay. That's what I mean. It's like the sexual... Okay. Wow. I'm feeling judged right now.
I think you got to go on a rock hunt.
Do I?
I feel like you...
So,
I don't even know you anymore.
Blair's response is... Joe says, I'm sorry. And Blair just smiles and says... I know. And she's like, no, really, it was an accident. And Blair's like, yeah. And then Blair stands up, and Joe takes the roller, says from Joe, may I? Takes the roller from Joe, and then rolls the fucking paint down her face and on her chest.
Right
and on her
over
chest.
The titties. Yeah.
So
in the great visual, the long shot, where the great visual of Blair with that paint on her ass.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Right as she turns around.
Yeah, it's quite She's beautiful. Great. And so then we have this moment, and then of course Joe retaliates, and then Natalie tries to break it up, and then they start getting Natalie involved, and then Tootie starts to try and sneak out of the room, but she doesn't quite make it. Because the girls then drag her in and start throwing around the paint, and it just becomes a wild, crazy. There is one point you do catch Nancy McKeon with the paint, cupping some paint in her hands and wiping it on her own face. Yeah, yes. There is one point you catch that. It's like, whoops. And it doesn't look like, no, I was wiping it off. No, it's like, no, you were clearly applying.
And I would like to thank the writers or the prop people for going with a tan color. Like a gray color.
Is it grayish
because
or
it
taupe?
Really could have gotten to the point where we couldn't air this episode if they had been painting the walls brown.
Oh, or red.
You know what I mean?
If Blair turned around and had a big red down the back.
It would have been funny if they all had brown faces and Tootie had like a
white face.
Something. But I'm saying, I wonder if there was thought put into that in 1981. Like, wouldn't it be funny if they was in blackface?
No.
And Tootie was like, no, it wouldn't be.
Not at all. So at one point when the fight escalates and they like Joe and Blair grab brushes and kind of square off like swords. You'll notice one of them has white paint on it and one of them has black. So they did kind of say, okay, we need to get some colors mixed in here, but they didn't go too crazy with it.
Right.
It really, honestly, it can't be easy to stage something like this because so many things can go wrong. And the idea that, okay, you're actually putting whatever this substance is.
Yeah. It was a little watery.
It was a little watery, but the thing is, it had to be edible. It had to be, they could get it in their mouths.
I wonder if it was Jell-O or something.
Or gray. How do you make gray Jell-O?
Or gravy.
Or
really watery gravy.
Wow. But the fact is that...
She is putting it on the wall, though, isn't she?
Yeah. So, but as they're throwing the... when we get to the point, and we see this in the clip in the opening credits, when they're just going at it. The fact that they all are kind of staged in a little bit of a tableau.
Yeah.
So that when they stop, they are perfectly positioned for the camera. It is nice, and yet it doesn't feel too staged.
Right. No, not at all.
I do have to give props here.
Yeah, I bought it.
Then Mrs. Garrett comes in, and while she first just kind of spies, and then she sees what's going on, we get the Charlotte Rae hand on the cheek. Mm-hmm. Because her face is not animated enough to convey the emotion. We need to add a gesture.
We needed one more little time for her to cross her eyes.
Yep. So she steps in, and in this wide shot, you see it in the opening credits, in this wide shot. She is standing by the door, 1 foot on the floor, 1 foot on the drop cloth, which covers the entire rest of the room.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Garrett, of course, when they see her, they stop. So the whole, and the girls all together go, oh,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny. And that's what we see at the end. That's in the opening credits. That's the last image before we fade out. Mrs. Garrett says, what's going on here? And then now we echo our Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola camera work that we did in the first act, where it starts with one of their faces and it says, we're painting. The one's, we're cleaning. Guess we got a little too much into our work. And we do that pan around, but I think we don't get 2D in. We don't go for 4. We get 3 out of the 4 for some reason, which is weird. Anyhow, Mrs. Garrett says, yes, I noticed you've gotten into it. And now you need to clean this up. And Joe says, yeah, I guess we kind of owe you for the paint.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Garrett says, and for the stripping and varnishing and staining of the floor. And you're like, or you could pick up the drop cloths,
right,
and the floor would be 100% clean.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And Joe says, whoa, all of that stuff, you're talking big bucks there. How are we going to afford that? And Blair says,
I love your Mrs. Garrett impression. I'm fascinated how Joe was suddenly in Sha-Na-Na when you do
Bowser.
When she suddenly, like an extra in Sha-Na-Na.
Dip da dip da dip boom.
Go ahead. So Mrs. Garrett, yeah.
So
sorry.
yeah, that's my Bowser from Sha-Na-Na.
I'm not mad at it.
So so then Blair starts to say, I just had one of my, and then she stops and goes, terrible ideas. You're like, what? We're in a jam and we got to figure out what, Blair. We'll accept any possible contribution or solution to this pickle we've gotten ourselves into. And she says, we could work it off and come back here and go back to the cafeteria.
And again, interesting choice to make Blair be the one to offer that as a solution.
Yeah.
Like I felt like a Natalie thing to say. Like, rather than Blair, because, like, it would take those two are the ones who were first off.
Yeah.
So it would take convincing those two. Like, I thought it was interesting, because you always talk about how they humanize Blair so much in this. And she's always the good friend. And they make that clear. But I just thought it was interesting that Blair was the one that helped her in the kitchen. And Blair was the one that they gave that line to.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
you feel like it could have been a Natalie thing.
She's living alone. So
Yeah.
is she lonely? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seemed interesting
it is
that
weird,
Blair
yeah.
was the one that wanted everybody to move back in together.
Yeah. And they agree to it, but sort of but this is not forever.
No, this is for one more season.
This is for, season and a half.
Then it gets good.
That it gets, does it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to reserve my judgment, because in my mind, this show right here that we're watching is my Facts of Life.
See, Edna's Edibles is mine. Because I'm a great deal younger than you, David.
Are you?
Yes.
How much younger are you, Matthew?
Years and years.
Yes.
So, Edna's Edibles is in...
Are you negative years younger than I am, Matthew?
Well, because you seem to be very negative about me being younger than you. But yeah, so I'm excited to get to Edna's Edibles. I love it!
I am less of a fan, just because I think the entire premise of getting them all under that roof is so beyond fucking preposterous.
Uh-huh, yeah.
And you're okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, see, I'm like,
I'm also okay with 4 old ladies living in a house in Miami, always wearing sweaters.
Yeah.
So, yeah. When you consider the continuity errors and the Golden Girls alone, and we're all like okay with it. Yeah, I'm okay.
You're okay
with how
with
they
it.
all end up at Edna's Edibles.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, the episode ends with them like, okay, so we're going to do this, but you got to stop your breathing. Well, you got to be there. Well, you're books. Well, you're there. Well, you're rock hunt. You're blah, 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 blah. And it starts with them all 4 squabbling, and Mrs. Garrett just looks at them and smiles and slowly closes the door.
Things are as they should be.
They're at each other's throats.
Yeah.
I'm a little weird ending. Because,
it's kind of a things are as they should. It's kind of this is resolved. Things are as they. It's like a Zen ending almost.
I get it. I remember when I first watched this that I was happy at this ending. I was oh,
yeah.
good. I was like, fuck, I thought my show was going away.
My program.
My stories. But I was like, okay, but now the idea that, okay, so stripping, varnishing, and staining are the 3 terms that she used.
Yeah. Where are they going to stay while they all do that?
Yeah, and not die from the fumes and the inhalation. Yeah. Now, even if this was, I don't remember when latex paint became the real norm, because latex is water soluble, easy to clean up, versus oil-based paint was a fucking nightmare.
Or lead.
Lead. That's what it. They die from lead inhalation, lead poisoning. But the thing is, even if they didn't have the drop cloth down, even if they got the shit all over the floor, it is not that they couldn't clean it. You couldn't grab some paint thinner and clean it and not disturb this clearly beautifully preserved hardwood floor in the upstairs apartment over a cafeteria that was used as a storeroom.
Right.
So, stripping, varnishing, and staining. Varnishing and staining are the same thing. Let's go there.
Okay.
So, to strip it down would be sanding it. You get a big sanding machine.
Sure.
I'm trying to, let's say I'm struggling to logistically equivalize, if that's not a word, it is now, the cost to strip and re-stain, re-polyurethane varnish the floor of a 12 by 20 room.
Sure.
Versus replacing a van.
Yeah.
We are literally at the halfway point between
of the series?
Of the cafeteria years.
Okay, yeah.
The cafeteria, we are literally at the halfway point. So they worked off a van in these 32 episodes.
Yeah.
We still have 32 more to come. And in that time, they're not going to work off sanding and putting some fucking stain on a floor.
I think the implication was that, no, it's not. They just want to stay together. That's how I took it. They just want to stay together. Like, we'll call it working off because you'll notice they never mention it, them paying off a debt again.
No.
So I feel like the girls are just
Blair and Joe graduate, and Tootie and Natalie are like, oh, hey, can we come live with you at Edna's Edibles?
Yeah.
And Edna's not like, bitches.
Not until you pay off your floor. She never says that. And when she's leaving,
we've got 2 planks still to go.
And nobody says when she goes to quit at Eastland, and nobody says, you're not getting your security deposit back.
Bitch.
Because there's still some paint splattered on this hardwood floor in there.
Oh, God. But take your ugly furniture. You're welcome to take that.
Yeah, have the sombrero.
Yeah, and the tiger sombrero. Matthew, we have come to the end of another episode.
It's just the worst.
I will never shut you up. Never gonna shut you up.
In what we just did.
Never gonna let you down.
That's why you never want to ask Rick Astley if you can borrow. He'll let you borrow any of his Pixar films except one. Never gonna give you up.
Well, Matthew, I'm going to thank you once again for always being the superb guest. I will try to do better with my craft services. I have failed you yet again.
I mean, you're not failing me. I've told you I don't want much. It's
you just want Belgian waffles and crepes and French toast.
Is that too much to ask, David? Is it a little thought? As much thought as you're willing to put into Pulpadia, David.
And on that note, Matthew,
whoever that is.
Thank you. Whoever that is. Yeah. So, as always, thank you. You crack my shit up, so I can't wait to have you back.
But before we go...
Wait, what?
You have not mentioned, unless you've mentioned on another episode, what you texted me about. You have to listen. You have to watch all these episodes of Facts Live, but now you've got 16 hours of Charlotte Ray's autobiography.
I forgot. Yes, I got the audiobook of The Facts of My Life, Charlotte Ray's. So when you get like a new novel, it might be 8 or 9 hours.
Really?
When you read it.
Okay.
Charlotte Ray's memoir, 11 and a half.
Jesus.
Yes.
This is Audible.
She sounds great.
My name is Charlotte Ray. And my voice ain't what it used to be.
No shit.
But it is what it is. So onward and upward with my big adventure.
Wow.
She is in no hurry to get through that book.
Yeah. All right, Matthew, my love, good night.
Yes,
and we will see you back again very, very soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
And there you have it. That was Matthew Arter. Always a joy. Always a pleasure whenever I have him, as you can hear from my squeaking and my snorting. And this new angle of doing Mrs. Garrett as Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek is quite brilliant. And I freely admit my Moira Rose is not nearly as good as Matthew's. So I look forward to having him back to do it lots and lots more. So since I recorded this, I've actually made my way through all of Charlotte Ray's memoir, The Facts of My Life. And it's actually really, really good. I highly recommend it if you're a diehard Facts of Life fan. And if you're not, what are you listening to this for? But if you've got Audible, go ahead, click the button and get it. And listen to it. It's really got some interesting stuff. I will share some bits and pieces of it as we go along, but for now, I'll just say I really genuinely enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. Next week, I'm going to be watching Season 3, Episode 17, The Affair, with another very special guest. Thank you so much for listening to this week's show, and remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the lets. And that's where you can find extra pictures, video, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media. We're everywhere under the handle Face the Facts Pod. And don't forget, go to your favorite podcatchers and subscribe, rate, and review. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.